The serene scenes of Lake Michigan and the fun in the sun of Muskegon's shoreline. It's a classic summer combination. Now you can add in Tuesday night fights. Tonight, Western Michigan's Courtney Burton is in front of his fans. He faces the always entertaining and unpredictable Emanuel Augustus. We have the catch of the day. This great lake is in store for a great fight. It's an action-packed night from Muskegon, Michigan on Tuesday Night Fights. Welcome to Tuesday Night Fights from Muskegon, Michigan. We are at the L.C. Walker Arena, where the local fans are real excited to get to see some of their regional favorites. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joe Tessitore alongside Teddy Atlas. Hey, an exciting main event. Courtney Burton, Emanuel Augustus. We know a lot about these fighters, Teddy, and that's good because what we know, it should be an exciting fight and an important fight for Courtney Burton.
Yes, it is. Burton, of course, the bad news is he got knocked out his last fight. The good news was by Julio Diaz, who has since become lightweight champion of the world. But it still leaves the same situation. Burton must win this fight to get back in the ratings, back into contendership that he wants, and he's got to do it with a tough guy.
Teddy, on the other side stands Emanuel Augustus. He can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody in the business, and he enjoys doing it.
And he goes into people's hometowns. He doesn't worry about that. Have gloves will travel with him. Have shoes will travel. He takes fights on quick notice, and you know what? The one thing about him, he can fight. On his way up, he fought nothing but tough competition. No kiddie gloves for this guy. So when you're in there with him, you better bring it.
It is now time for our main event. The entertaining and well-skilled Emanuel Augustus takes on Courtney Burton. There's Courtney Burton making his walk to the ring. Caps off a dynamic year of his life, both in and out of the ring. His story has been full of ups and downs. At a time when most are finding out about themselves, 26-year-old Courtney Burton knows all too well what he's about. He knows the good, he knows the bad. And he knows that for all intents and purposes, the meat of this matter started last July. That's when Courtney grabbed the national spotlight with a rousing knockout of heavily favored established star Angel Manfredi. The win launched Courtney into everyone's top 10. But the next time all eyes were on Burton, the talk wasn't the same. Then, with a title shot on the line, Courtney's hopes came crashing down by way of Julio Diaz's right hand. Diaz went on to win the title. Courtney went on to take a long look in the mirror.
I just gotta, get myself back on track and, do the things that I was doing before this last loss, kind of things I was not doing, but, they're coming back slowly. By the time the fight get there, everything will be falling in place.
Things always seem to fall in place, especially with the support of Napoleon Lark.
He's like my father, even though I do have a father, but he hasn't been there like Napoleon has been there for me. He makes sure, I'm doing everything right. He calls and checks on me. He just stay on me.
Lark came into Burton's life when he was 8 years old, and Courtney was on the wrong end of a baseball bat in a street fight.
I took him home to his grandfather, and in the meantime, I was asking, would he like to learn how to defend himself? And he said, you mean fight? I said, yeah, learn how to fight.
Courtney learned how to fight. He also learned how to live. Napoleon took Courtney and his brother off the Benton Harbor, Michigan streets and into his loving home. He became their legal guardian and taught them discipline and success through boxing. Courtney hasn't always fallen in line, but he has always known what Napoleon Lark has meant to him.
I wouldn't have you guys in here talking to me right now if it wasn't for him showing me what he knows and what he has been down through in boxing. So I'm going to train hard and leave it all on the line in the gym, do what I have to do to get this victory.
That determination may get Courtney far. So far, it has gotten him through the tough times. And he understands a lack of motivation doesn't cut it at this level.
Courtney, I just believe it in my heart that he is going to go all the way to the top.
I'm going to get to the mountain. I'm going to get to the top of that mountain.
And tonight, Burton looks to prove himself at 140 pounds, his first fight over lightweight in nearly 2 years. Now, there is Emanuel Augustus. As many of you know, he changed his name from Emanuel Burton a few years back after his parents married and he was an adult. 3 years ago, this fight would have been Burton versus Burton. Thankfully for the change, it's not. Emanuel's last 5. He was winning his fight against Tomas Barrientos before referee Lawrence Cole DQ'd Emanuel after 2 fouls and an incident with Cole. We'll talk about that as the night goes on. Prior to that fight, Augustus had his best showing in years. Let's flash back to his fight this past April in Tucson, Arizona. Augustus was facing top 10 ranked lightweight Alex Trujillo. Augustus came in focused and primed, and he dominated. In fact, it got to the point where Augustus was clowning around and simply toying with the overmatched Trujillo. Teddy Atlas, why don't you tee us up on Emanuel Augustus?
Well, number one for Augustus to get a win tonight, beat first as Burton comes in moving his head. Get off your punches before he does and just beat him to the draw. Number 2, turn him. Just a little footwork and you can get angles that will keep Burton off balance and give you clean opportunities. And number 3, be a jabber, not a gabber. The left hand can dictate the fight and keep Burton from getting into punching position.
And there's Courtney Burton from just a short ride down Lake Michigan shoreline in Benton Harbor. 20-2, 11 knockouts. His last 5, well, includes a common opponent. Augustus was DQ'd against Barrientos. Burton KO'd him in 1 round. Teddy, what do you want to see from Burton tonight?
Well, for Burton, number 1, don't be the middleman or don't come back to the middle. You have a bad habit of moving your head to the side, then stopping right in the center in front of your man. Punch off the moves, then make sure you are at a safe range before you come back to the middle. And number 2, don't fly solo. In other words, combination punches, not single shots. And number 3, be quicker inside. When you get close, you take too long to get your punches off and you get beat to the punch. Don't wait time. Get off your shots when you're in close.
Referee Dan Kelly for this 10
Guys, I
round.
gave you instructions in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. Let's touch him up. Let's go.
Dan Kelly's ready to go, and so are we with our Miller Lite ring experience. You see the career of Emanuel Augustus. 448 total rounds. He takes any fight, anywhere, against anybody.
You know, Joe, if Augustus hadn't changed his name to Burton, not only would it be tough for us to call this fight, but you know, we would have been thinking we were doing an old episode of What's My Line? Will the real Burton please stand up?
See which one does tonight here as Augustus comes out early. He told us he wants to try to score big in the first 2 rounds. Teddy, the situation with Emanuel Augustus in his last fight against Tomas Barrientos, he had what many feel is probably his best win in years against Alex Trujillo back in April. I mean, toyed with a ranked guy, looked great. And then Tomas Barrientos now listed on his record as a loss because of the disqualification at the hands of referee Lawrence Cole.
Yeah, we got a chance to peek at that fight in that last round in the truck. And it looked like he was having an ego problem with the referee. Lawrence Cole's been around a long time. He knows how to referee, knows what he's been doing. But it was a hometown kid. Lawrence Cole, of course, comes from Texas, too. He's a good, solid referee, but it looked like he actually got mad at Augustus there and allowed his feelings to get involved, maybe to the point where he took that fight away from Augustus. But then again, that's boxing.
Augustus's clowning and showboating has a tendency to really bother opposing fighters. In that case, it may have bothered a referee. He was not making eye contact with Lawrence Cole. Cole wanted to take control of the situation. The end result, a disqualification.
Kind of like today, you see those umpires in baseball, they get carried away sometimes. You know, they get to the point where they're almost initiating arguments with the players. Like they forget that they're not that part of the game. But getting back to this part of the game, this fight in front of us, Augustus has the edge on speed. He gets off, not only does he have the quicker hands, he uses his hands at a quicker period a quicker place and time. You can see when he fights at a distance, he controls that distance. You can just watch it. Augustus will catch Courtney Burton as Burton's coming in, or at least chuck it and toss at him like that as Burton's coming in.
Did a good job landing that left hand with Burton coming in there. Augustus putting his punches together, firing them off. He's already thrown 70 punches in the first 2 minutes of this first round.
You know, early on can be dangerous for Burton. Not that Augustus is a huge puncher, but it can be dangerous to Burton. He's coming off a knockout loss in his last fight. Always tough to go into your next fight coming off a knockout loss. You're not sure mentally. We talked about the mental part being so important. You're not sure mentally if you're okay. And when you're going into a tough fight, that can be something else to deal with. Just watch the styles here. This is a tough style for Burton. He comes in, he's smart. He moves his upper body, he moves his head, but he's coming in, he takes time. And that's what gives Augustus a big edge, to get off